Child abuse takes on personal faces. Takes us down through some interesting journeys of life. Judah Bradish is with us, and Liz and I talk. We talked.
Quite a few. It's been a few.
You didn't have to say that, but it is true. What is the phone call that changed your life?
I was at a telethon back in 1988. The Carl Perkins Center was having a telethon at Q102, which was actually in Freeway. And I grew up in Freeway, and I went to that telethon, and I just told someone finally I need help.
What age?
It was about a month before I turned 16.
So what had been happening?
I was being abused by a family member, and it started around age 5 when I was in kindergarten is my earliest memory. And before I turned 16, I finally decided that it was time to tell and time to get help.
And it continued from the time you were 5 until you were 16?
Yes, sir. The interesting thing was my parents were volunteers at the center. And, you know, they have been volunteers. Pam can tell you stories how my dad would help out with things. And they were volunteers at the center and didn't know until someone came with me and helped me tell.
I didn't think. I'm sorry, I got a microphone right here. You know, Juice didn't have to have a microphone. So, we're highly professional on this show.
That's okay.
Yeah. But it, one of the questions that comes up, this happens to you starting at age 5. It was always 16. Why you would not tell somebody what was happening to make that difficult? Because I think it helps people understand the dynamics of this.
It was, you always hear that your children are scared to tell. I don't know that I was scared to tell. It was, you know, my family, I was raised in church. It was the 1980s. We didn't talk about sex a lot. It wasn't on TV. It wasn't that I was scared to tell, it's that I didn't know how to tell. How do you bring up that subject? That something like that's been going on for so long, and to know that, you know, in the 80s it was kind of taboo, and how do you tell that? That was I didn't know how.
Okay. You came to the telethon, watched the telethon, and then decided to tell somebody, set, staff, family?
I don't remember a lot about it. I told someone at the center, and then the center came to my house. Miss Ann Williams, actually with the center, came to my house and helped me tell my parents.
What happened?
Well, that was before the Child Advocacy Center, which is such a huge thing now. Is, you know, at the Child Advocacy Center now, the center has, everybody goes to one place. Everything is done in one place. I had to go on that, I told on a Wednesday, and that Thursday I went to Child Protective Services, was an interview. That Friday I went to the Sheriff's Department and was interviewed. That Monday I went to the Children's Clinic and had a physical. It was spread out over a period of time. So.
The person that was responsible for this, what was their reaction or response?
When my grandfather actually, I believe, my grandfather's the one that asked, had it been happening, and he admitted to it.
Oh, you did?
And another thing that is so about my story, I realized that, you know, I had resources that a lot of people don't, but in 2010 I was able to go to him and tell him that I forgave him, which is what I heard is something that a lot of people don't get to do and don't get to that point where they can go and face their abuser and say, I forgive you.
Judah Bradish is with us. What made that possible in your life to be able to do that?
I've had the same therapist for 23 years. Shout out to him. A lot of prayer, a lot of hard work. You know, I think that's one misconception that if you're abused and you come from somebody with a lot of money to somebody with no money, that the center helps. The pain is the same, the tears are the same, the work still has to be done in therapy. And you just get to a point where you just have to let it all go. And you just have to say, I want to use what happened to me for something good.
How are things today?
Great, great. Just a few little things, but like I said, with the help of therapy, with the help of the center, you know, I don't think I ever would have told if I had not been at that telethon or not been aware of the center and what was going on. You know, my parents asked me a couple of times, was something going on, and I told them no, because again, I just didn't know how to tell.
Your message today for people is?
It affects all people. Child abuse can happen. You know, I've been seeing a lot on Facebook, on social media about sex trafficking. And what I want to say is, yes, we need to be concerned about sex trafficking, but we also need to be concerned about people, you know, it could be your neighbor, it could be someone in your family. Like I said, my parents were volunteers and they didn't know. So it could be anybody, and it could be any socioeconomic status, it could be anybody.
When they looked back on it after you told what had been happening, did they think back then, did they see signs or say, well, okay, so it became a situation of trying to reflect back, so okay, we could have been alerted.
And my mom passed away last year, and someone told me afterwards that she said she just would always wonder if she did enough, you know, and they did. And there was never a day in my life that I didn't know I was loved. But, you know, and I take that love that I was given, the love from everybody here at the center and everybody that has done so much for me and for all these kids. You just don't know the difference it makes. You know, a 5-minute phone call can change your life forever.
Thanks for being here. It's good to see you.
You too.
I'm glad things are all well. It's good. Appreciate you sharing this story. You shared with us a few years ago. It sets up what we're about to see in this video, and that is for all of us. You know, if you sense or see child abuse, and sometimes that's difficult. And one of the things that, for your parents, what would have been signs? And they said, well, maybe we could have known.
One of the things I think of is I was very loud as a child. I got voted the mouth of the South in high school.
Could have fooled me.
I know. But I think one of those things was I was always very loud and wanted to be noticed because I wanted people to say, hey, look at me, help me stop this pain. You know, I don't really remember what they could have looked for. It happened right in front of them. I mean, I would be sitting here and you would be sitting there as my parents, and it would be happening right in front of us, and they just didn't know.
Sometimes we don't see. What happens when you sense or whatever? Tom and Kelly are going to take us through this video. Jude, once again, it's good to see you, and I appreciate you sharing this story. What do you do when you sense or see child abuse?